Hi guys! With you, as always, Deni. Finding a single-player game that will keep you busy for hours is a difficult task. There seem to be a lot of games, but not really interesting ones. Therefore, today, I will try to help you a little, because I have collected a pack of really cool single-player games that you can play with great pleasure. Therefore, as usual, click on like, click on the subscription. If you haven't subscribed yet, well, actually, let's go. The first part of Ghostrunner takes its own separate place in my heart. It had everything in moderation. There is enough complexity, a sense of elegant style, a well thought out story, and an appropriate duration. The second part promised to expand horizons, and she accomplished these tasks, although not always successfully. The story has been simplified, but it has not become worse. The villains here are not bad. The main character is still the same charmer. Making cuts with your sharpened sword is also still interesting, especially in the first half of the game. In addition, new cool skills have been added to the action game. Different chips can change your abilities almost at any time. One of the main new trump cards is a futuristic motorcycle and the opportunity to ride it. It sounds cool, it feels fun at first, especially from the first minutes of riding it, and then not so much. Overall, it's a great game with cool dynamics and style. And this is a very unusual mind over magic, at least because here you run your own school of magic. Like Hogwarts, only you are in the role of Dumbledore, and they must prepare their students for the heavy burden of life in this world. For your understanding, the gameplay is something like Oxygen, Nor Included, or Fallout Shelter, but with its own nuances. Don't expect constant action. The gameplay is rather unhurried about how to properly organize your settlement. The visual is excellent, the optimization is good. Well, as it is, we are developing the school and our magicians. We periodically use various protective spells so that the darkness around the school does not climb on us. Well, when he does get in, it will come to the action game, where your magicians will fight enemies in turn-based mode. In general, the game is sticky and with its own non-standard style. For those who want to play some kind of step-by-step, slow and rather even thoughtful gameplay, it's worth playing Suzerain. This is a game where you are the president and you have to take the helm of the state of Swordland. The country is not in its best condition and is now torn apart by socio-economic and foreign policy storms, and we have to spend it through 4 hot years. The game provides a huge opportunity to choose a political, moral, and ethical vector. You can play a liberal reformer, a conservative communist, or a greedy dictator. A lot of your decisions really affect the plot and the future of your country. I will say more. For your personal future as well, many of the consequences of your actions will only be revealed after a few hours of play. The gameplay is simple: read a lot, choose lines and dialogues, make decisions to sign or not to sign laws, allocate the budget, and other presidential routine. The last game is too difficult and you don't want to read a lot, then I suggest you get behind the wheel of one of the fastest racing cars and participate in that very Formula 1. You will get much more pleasure if you have a steering wheel, because this game is about the feeling of driving. Against the background of the previous part, it's just candy. Firstly, the broken physics was fixed. Now you can drive without problems. The car does not turn around on every curb. Physics feels like some kind of mix of F1 2015 and 2016. It seems to have become more arcade, but at the same time the car feels much more alive and not just a cow on ice. It's cool that now the car can be demolished a little on braking and it needs to be caught. And there are a lot of such nuances. Well, as it is, all the strays of racing are also in place. Different cars, car settings, different tracks, and tournaments. I've been waiting for a year for the Forever Skies developer to add a 4-person cooperative, but they still don't. Therefore, it still remains not a bad single-player game. But in fairness, it should be said that the developers do not sit still and release updates. Of the latter, gardening was added to the game. Well, not in the sense that there are beds there and you can plant cabbage. These developers added a not feeble level of gardening. You can add water tanks, a distiller for various fertilizers, pots of different sizes, a network of pipes, sprinklers, and much more. That is, it is well done. Otherwise, the gameplay is the same. Here is a raft. Only instead of water, there is air, and we fly on an airship instead of a raft. We jump off to the islands, loot stuff there, and go back to the flying fortress. In general, it is interesting, especially considering that there is a post-apocalypse and the atmosphere is appropriate. You know, sometimes a man needs to rest, well, relax. To do this, the man goes into the forest, sometimes just like that, and sometimes he takes a fishing rod with him, and somewhere in the forest he finds a lake where he enjoys peace, nature, and fishing. Here in this game, you can do it all. Here is a fishing simulator. There is no rigid fishing simulation here. It is done more casually than difficult. Plus, the game has a very cool nature and walks to the lake. The graphics are such that, in general, you can make screenshots on your desktop, especially at sunset. Well, most importantly, there is multiplayer. You can even go fishing with friends. If you want something more combative, welcome to 6 Days in Fallujah, an atmospheric and moderately hardcore project that will especially appeal to fans of the Middle Eastern setting. In general, it can be played in co-op, but if suddenly there are no acquaintances and you don't need random players, you can relax with bots because this is not a multiplayer shooter, and the enemies will be bots anyway. The game itself is a kind of Ready or Not analog, but only slightly less realistic, and with more extensive maps. In general, we shoot to the fullest. It requires a lot of teamwork, and tactics come out here in the first place, along with teamwork, and also there is a random generation of locations. I feel like I need something easier. For example, Octopath Traveler II. If you played the first part, you will enjoy the second one, but if you suddenly missed it, I will briefly explain what kind of pixel lamp adventure this is. The plot revolves around 8 new characters and on a completely new land called Solistia, where diverse cultures from east to west and the industry of the new era flourish. The characters live their own lives, appear in different places, and you will be able to meet them and recruit them into your team along the way of the game. You can surf the seas and explore every corner of the world, which changes from day to night. In general, Octopath Traveler 2 does what a great sequel should do. Instead of breaking new ground left and right, she improves on the original in almost every way and feels more confident in the stories she tells. Kingdom Come. Deliverance has not had any updates for a long time. This is not surprising. The developers are making part 2 of the game, but nevertheless, the first one still remains a wonderful adventure in the Middle Ages. Well, the realism in the game is just off the scale. You can't run away from your enemies. Taking a bow, you realize that you don't know how to shoot it. The bowstring does not stretch, and the arrow flies 1-2 meters. The food in the pockets is rotten. Your horse is no faster than the horses of your enemies. The enemies are 10 times stronger than you because you're a sucker, and when you pick up a book you realize that you can't read because you're also dumb, and your father doesn't like it when you bring him a warm beer. But of course everyone would not like it here. In general, a legendary game that is definitely worth playing. We need to somehow move away from the present and the past and move a little into the future with the game Deliver Us Mars. This is the plot continuation of Deliver Us the Moon, and it takes twice as long to complete. If you didn't play last time, it doesn't matter. If you like science fiction works about space travel, then this game is for you. According to the plot, humanity is on the verge of extinction, but we, in the role of poor Kathy Johansson, receive a distress signal from Mar, and now we go there to find the arcs of the colonizers who went there before us to seek the salvation of mankind on the Red Planet. You will have to fly from Earth to Mars aboard the Zephyr rocket. Survival in the harsh conditions of the Red Planet, puzzles, beautiful views, and most importantly, I'm finding out who actually sent you a distress signal. The graphics are cool, the atmosphere is even more cool. I feel like I need something simple to relax and shoot, some kind of new one-person action shooter. Here is Sentry, where you will defend your ship from alien aliens. Well, apparently the protection of the towers was brought here too. Your task is to defend the ship with the help of firearms and buildings. You can also interact with the location by breaking glass and grills to quickly throw enemies into an airless space or to move more comfortably. So far, it is single, but the developers are planning to add a co-op in the near future, so we keep this in mind. Well, if you want something cartoonish, beautiful, and driving, so that you also have a plot, then you should definitely try Ratchet & Clank. We play for these guys and go on an interdimensional journey to punch the Emperor and his henchmen in the face. I really like the gameplay itself. It's especially cool in the first 10 hours of the game, but then all these battles with robots can get boring, and you'll break cans with a stone face. But there are enough battles here, so get ready to hit and shoot a lot. All sorts of special effects, explosions, and so on. All this is there and looks very epic. There is a place to roam in the game. The game has an open world and many planets that do not look like each other. There are various side tasks, a lot of interaction with the environment, and much more. Well, that's it for today. I hope you clicked on the like with the subscription if you haven't subscribed yet. Well, Deni was with you today as always, and all the best.